The Steam Summer Sale is here and it's an absolute goldmine for roguelike and roguelite fans. Whether you live for pixel perfect dodging, wild deck synergies, or just the sweet sting of permadeath, there is something in this sale for you. Now we're diving into both genres here. Yes, there is a difference. So roguelikes are more traditional, usually turn-based, grid-based, and absolutely unforgiving. No permanent upgrades, no carryover stats, just you, the dungeon, and what you've learned. Roguelites are a bit more forgiving. They tend to bring action, persistent progress, and a healthy dose of chaos. Perfect for that just one more run spiral. I'm going to include a little bit of everything here: tactical indies, bullet hells, deck builders with a dark side, and even a few curveballs that push the genre in strange and brilliant places. So expect humour, mechanical depth, and hopefully one or two hidden gems you've not seen before. And to keep things fresh, I'll only pick one game per series, so no stacking sequels or spin-offs. These are simply my favourites from each franchise and the ones I keep coming back to. Of course, let me know in the comments which ones I've missed and what your favourite pickups are in this sale. And if I've helped you find something new, feel free to give the video a like or sub and get us out there into the YouTube algorithm. Alright, let's dive into this one. Nine Kings, 35% discount, €9.74. I was sent a key for this one and I figured I'd give it 15-20 minutes. 5 hours later, I'm still trying to break the game in the best way possible. Nine Kings is a fast-paced roguelike kingdom builder where you grow your empire and wage war against rival monarchs in massive auto battles. What really makes this one sing is how freely it lets you experiment. It's part strategy, part sandbox puzzle, and part glorious chaos engine. And despite still being in early access, it already feels quite polished and packed with replay value. If you're into deck builders or systems that just let you get a little bit unhinged, this one is an absolute must try. Super creative loop, great pixel art, and some cracking thematic variety between the different kings. Dicey Dungeons, 66% discount, €5.02. I feel like there are enough ideas in this game for 3 whole roguelites, and yet somehow none of it feels half-baked. Dicey Dungeons is a fast-paced, dice-powered deck-building roguelike from Terry Kavanagh. This is the guy who made Super Hexagon. With some super music and some properly charming art, you're gonna roll dice, assign them to skills, and build ridiculous combos and try to outwit Lady Luck herself. Every character plays completely differently with unique mechanics that force you to rethink your strategies and what you know. And sure, there is RNG, it's a dice game after all, but there's also plenty to control, especially once you start exploiting synergies. It's smart, fair, and surprisingly forgiving. When you mess up, it's usually on you. When I finally crack a tough episode, I feel like I've genuinely earned it, not just lucky dice rolls. Rogue Command, 25% discount, €14.99. RTS and roguelite, say no more. I'm already booting this one up with a cup of tea and absolutely no plan whatsoever. Rogue Command takes the base building and real-time skirmishing of the RTS classic games and smashes it together with roguelike deck building. You build your base, harvest resources, and spit out units, but instead of tech trees, your upgrades come as randomized cards that you add to your build pool each run. If you grew up on Red Alert or StarCraft but always wanted a little bit more of spontaneity and replayability, and maybe surprise in your build order, this scratches a very niche and very satisfying itch. Heroes of Hammerwatch, 75% discount, €2.94. Imagine Diablo, but everything wants you dead immediately, and the loot is somehow both your reward and your punishment. Heroes of Hammerwatch is an isometric action roguelite with a healthy dose of grind, glorious pixel art, and a real sense of progression. Both in, run, and out. You climb procedurally through generated towers, smashing your way through waves of enemies, dodging traps, and hoovering up golden ore. This one is absolutely brutal early on, but once you start upgrading your town, unlocking new classes, and stacking some passive bonuses, it turns into a lovely rhythm of progress through failure. With full co-op support, it's an excellent pick for chaotic evening with friends, where someone inevitably dies to spikes. It's not for everyone, the early grind is real here, but if you like a roguelike that keeps giving long after your first dozen runs, this one's well worth digging into. Drop Duchy, 15% discount, €12.74. It's like someone took Tetris, added feudalism, and somehow made it pretty chill. Drop Duchy is a relaxing but cleverly designed roguelike city builder where you're slotting buildings onto a grid, managing resources, and trying to build a thriving duchy before everything goes a bit pear-shaped. Each piece you place will affect your economy, your defenses and long-term survival. Yes, there are going to be battles too. It's got that just one more turn energy, but with puzzle game clarity. Buildings have types, synergies and placement bonuses, and as difficulty scales up you need to think spatially and strategically. This one is low stress but high in tactical satisfaction. Great for fans of kingdom management and those who fancy something a little different, and honestly a little less twitchy than your typical action roguelikes. Rise to Ruins, 50% discount, €6.99. This looks like a chilled little god game until night falls and your village gets absolutely smashed by undead horrors. Rise to Ruins is a survival focused village builder with god game elements and a roguelike structure hiding under the surface. You'll guide a growing settlement from humble beginnings to fragile self-sufficiency while gathering resources, building defenses and trying to survive wave after wave of enemies. What sets this one apart is how hands-on it feels. You're not just assigning villagers, you're using your god powers, really getting into the economy and physically dragging corpses into fire pits to stop the plague outbreaks. There's a little bit of Dwarf Fortress DNA here, but it's far more approachable, tough as nails and deeply satisfying. Loop Hero, 75% discount, €3.69. One of the only games I can think of where doing absolutely nothing still counts as a strategy, and sometimes the correct one. Loop Hero is a genre-defying roguelike where you don't control the hero directly, instead you build the world around them. As your little warrior trudges endlessly through a looping path, it's up to you to place terrain, enemies, buildings and buffs in just the right way to balance challenge, loot and survival. It's a weird and wonderful mix of deck building, idle strategy and base progression. Every loop gets harder and every decision tighter. You're always weighing risk versus reward and trying to milk one more trip around the path before cashing out and dying and losing half your gear. It's moody, minimalist and wildly addictive. Shattered Pixel Dungeon, 40% discount, €5.85. If you want the roguelike in its rawest form, permadeath, procedurally generated dungeons and no nonsense, this is going to be your jam. Shattered Pixel Dungeon is a modern reworking of the classic Pixel Dungeon, and it really nails that old school roguelike feel. Tight inventory management, turn-based combat and an unforgiving dungeon filled with traps, potions you probably shouldn't drink and enemies that don't care about how you feel. What makes it stand out is how polished and balanced it is. There are multiple classes, skill paths, item synergies and tons of nuance. But it's never overwhelming. Every step, every choice, even poorly timed wand use is gonna matter here. It's brutally fair, endlessly replayable and perfect for players who want challenge without bloat. Armoured Commander II, 50% discount, €4.87. This may look like an old DOS sim at first glance, but underneath is one of the most detailed and intense tactical roguelikes out there. This puts you in command of a tank crew in World War II and drops you into a brutal turn-based campaign where survival is anything but guaranteed. You move across strategic maps, engage intense hex-based combat, and manage everything from crew injuries to ammo types and armour, all in this unique visual style. Each campaign is a roguelike in itself, no takebacks, permadeath in full effect and long form progression as you attempt to guide your tank through historically inspired operations. If you like tactical wargaming wrapped in a roguelike design and systems that you can drown in, this one is going to be a hidden masterpiece for you. Bad North, 80% discount, €2.99. This one looks cute until night falls and then your island is on fire and your soldiers are bleeding, and of course it's going to be your fault. Bad North is a minimalist real-time tactics roguelite where you command peasant squads to defend procedurally generated islands against Viking hordes. Charmingly brutal, adorable pixel soldiers contrasted against the blood-soaked shores. It's gorgeously balanced, easy to pick up and fiendishly tactical, built for bite-sized runs. This is exactly the kind of tactical micro RTS I dig, simple inputs, deep systems and just one more island feel, and it scratches this RTS itch while building on the roguelike risk beautifully. Death Must Die, 10% discount, €6.20. It's part Diablo, part Vampire Survivors, and honestly it might be the most fun I've had dodging fireballs in a long time. Death Must Die is a top-down action roguelike where you pick a hero and take on hordes of Death's minions using skill-based combat, god tier blessings and loot-heavy builds. Think classic ARPG controls, the scaling chaos of a Survivor-style run, but with a lot more agency and a lot less auto. What makes this one sing is how every run feels tailored to your choices. You're dodging, striking and stacking powers that interact in all kinds of fun and broken ways, fast, stylish and surprisingly tactical. I adore this game. It's slick, punchy and just meaty enough to keep you locked in for hours, and yes, I think the pixel effects are spot on as well. Legend of Keepers, 80% discount, €3.59. If you like playing the dungeon keeper instead of the hero, placing traps while heroes get eaten alive, this game will be right up your alley. Legend of Keepers is a roguelite dungeon management sim where you play as the evil middle manager working for the Dungeons company. Each run you recruit monsters, lay traps and schedule events, all before the heroes invade your lair and meet your wrath in turn-based combat. What makes this one stand out to me is the back to front twist that you're not delving in but you're preventing the delving. Between dungeon attacks you manage your team, handle morale events, hire minions and upgrade your master. I love how it flips the usual dungeon crawl formula, and there's a real cheeky humour to this one. Once you hit your stride with event choices and monster synergies, it gets genuinely strategic too. Iratus, Lord of the Dead, 90% discount, €2.99. This may look like a Darkest Dungeon clone at first, but once you're commanding your undead legions, you realise this one is its own glorious beast. Iratus flips the script, putting you in charge of a necromancer and his undead minions in turn-based tactical roguelike combat, where you harvest body parts from fallen foes to craft new monsters, shuffle your formation around to get the right strategy, and support your horde with eldritch spells and alchemy between battles. This one has quite a bit to unpack, different minions, multiple talent trees, stress-driven debuffs, and plus Iratus himself backing them all with spells. I love how sharp and tightly wound this one is, no endless backtracking, just brutal tactical decisions, and occasionally runs can feel familiar, especially the boss fights, but minion combos and necromancer banter always carry it through. Lobotomy Corporation, 66% discount, €7.81. Monster management sim doesn't quite prep you for the horrors awaiting you in this game. Lobotomy Corporation is a deeply weird and brilliant roguelike management sim where you're running a facility full of unstable anomalies. Each day you assign staff to interact with these creatures to harvest energy, but get it wrong and they'll go berserk, or worse, cause a cascading disaster across your entire site. You're not juggling stats here, you're managing risk, fear and the slow creeping dread that systems can spiral out of control. It's stressful, fascinating and unlike anything else on this list, utterly unforgiving. But if you're into cosmic horror with a hint of bureaucracy, this one's got some claws. Stacklands, 40% discount, €4.79. A roguelite village builder disguised as a card game. Fun, clever and oddly compulsive. Stacklands is a card-based village simulation where you stack villagers, berry bushes, campfires and weapons, you name it, to grow your settlement. You're going to fight creatures, survive moon cycles, and it's basically a loop of crafting resources, feeding your people and expanding via card packs and relics. What really makes this one tick is how elegantly it balances simplicity and depth. The stacking mechanic sparks emergent strategy, as you muddle your way through different card combinations to keep everything ticking over. It's a quietly fascinating game where your choices feel like they matter. If you like systems that feel cozy, smart and a little bit bonkers, this one should be for you. Into the Breach, 65% discount, €5.24. It's chess meets giant robots, except one wrong move and everything goes flying into the sea. Into the Breach is a turn-based tactical roguelite from the creators of FTL. You command mechs across tiny grid arenas, defending cities from monsters, but each mission is about spatial thinking and predictive counterplay. Every action, move, punch, shield, you must consider enemy attacks queued for the next turn. This one sings because it's got brutal elegance. You always know what's coming, so victory comes down to clever planning and sacrifice. I'd argue it's one of the most perfectly designed tactical games ever. It's brutal, minimalist and relentlessly fair. If you lose, it's because the puzzle got the better of you, not because of bad luck. Darkest Dungeon, 85% discount, €3.67. The sequel is fine, but nothing beats the original when you're willingly crushing your party sanity for victory. Darkest Dungeon is a gothic turn-based roguelike RPG where you recruit a roster of flawed heroes to cleanse a cursed estate. Dungeons are punishing, characters suffer stress, afflictions, diseases, and if they're gonna die, they are gone for good. What makes this one stand out is its systems are emotionally vicious. You don't just juggle health and positioning, but mental breakdowns, paranoia, masochism, quivering terror, all while managing your hamlet's expansion between missions. It's less about gear, more about managing people and pain. This is the roguelike that doesn't just test your tactics, it tests your nerve. You'll come back, lose someone new and feel that ache again. Nobody narrates your suffering quite like that disembodied voice. It's punishment with poetry. KeeperRL, 40% discount, €10.07. It's Dungeon Keeper meets Dwarf Fortress for sane people, and yes, I'm still going back for just one more dungeon. KeeperRL puts you in the shoes of an evil keeper building a dungeon from scratch. You carve out rooms, recruit minions, set traps, and defend against heroes. And when you're feeling bold, you can even take direct control, leading raid parties into enemy territory. What makes this one shine is how it blends systems. It's got the base building depth and tactical combat, it's got real-time elements and turn-based combat when you take control, and it's wrapped in roguelike progression. There's permadeath, destructible terrain, and a proper sense of dread once the stronger faction starts sniffing you out. It's deep, a bit messy, and properly addictive if you like base building with teeth. It'll be one of those games that you pick up and won't be able to put down. The Binding of Isaac, 69% discount, €1.54. This is a game that Luke and I sunk a silly number of hours into, and I can't tell if it scarred or sharpened us. The Binding of Isaac is one of the granddaddies of modern action roguelites. You blast through grotesque dungeons full of bizarre enemies, collect hundreds of devilish items and power-ups, and try not to get crushed by a single tier that's somehow your only weapon. What truly makes this one special is the chaotic item synergy madness. You never quite know whether your run will be unstoppable or nerve-wrackingly fragile. It's dark, it's savage, and it's endlessly replayable. We'd sink an hour just chasing that one perfect build or die spectacularly trying. Dwarf Fortress, 20% discount, €23.19. It's a fortress builder, a roguelike, a colony sim, and occasionally an unhinged comedy when your dwarves melt down over missing socks. Dwarf Fortress drops you in a procedurally generated world where you oversee a colony of dwarves, guiding their every pickaxe swing, farming plot, and tantrum. You dig caverns, build deep, intricate defences, tame wildlife, manage resources, and defend against sieges, or fiery magma floods, stone falls, and political horror shows. This one has emergent complexity. Every dwarf has skills, moods, and secrets. And then reality does its thing, a forgotten beast shows up, your brewer goes religious, and suddenly you're in the middle of an axe duel over stolen jam. This game is legendary for a reason. Infinite replayability, ruthlessly cruel, and somehow hilarious in its misery it inflicts upon you. If you're into systems that write their own stories, this is peak roguelike. Monster Train 2, 10% discount, €22.49. I think this one not only builds upon the original, but it leaps ahead, laying down tracks for a deeper, smarter sequel. Monster Train 2 is a roguelike deck builder where you defend your pyre atop a multi-tiered train by selecting 2 clans per run and crafting combos across 3 battle floors. You draft beasts, spells, and relics to stall waves of divine foes before they reach that fiery heart. What makes this one sing for me is how it expands on everything you love about the first. More clans, smarter synergies, room cards, equipment, and even an endless mode for serious replayability. If you loved the original like I did, this is everything the same but turned up a notch. Richer, smarter, and dangerously easy to lose many hours into. FTL, Faster Than Light, 70% discount, €2.99. Piloting a ship through hostile space never felt so do or die, and that's what made every decision sting. FTL is a real-time with Paul's roguelite, where you command a spaceship and a crew on a mission to save the galaxy. You manage power, shields, weapons, and subsystems, while jumping between sectors and engaging in encounters, surviving brutal boss fights, and every scrap and skirmish is a tight little battle in and of itself. What makes this one shine is the pressure. Every border, iron blast, asteroid field forces you to reevaluate on the fly, and there's no rewind. If your crew burns or your hull goes down, that run is over. It's the gold standard for procedural spaceship roguelites, compact, chaotic, and pinpoint strategic. It's almost meditative in its system-driven intensity. Inscryption, 60% discount, €7.99. In my opinion, probably one of the best single playthrough experiences ever, at least for me. For a roguelite, it's layered, unsettling, and unforgettable. Inscryption starts as a dark deck-building roguelite, but quickly dismantles its own rules, evolving into a meta-narrative puzzle game with a creeping and impending sense of horror. You play a masked figure in a cabin, playing card duels for survival, then each win or loss peels back another layer of secrets. What makes this one really shine is its transformation. Every element, card, story, aesthetic, even mechanics unbinds itself as you progress. It's strategic, it's eerie, and it gave me moments of genuine chill up my spine. It's a masterclass in pacing and genre blending. One run will stay with you long after you close down this game. Noita, 60% discount, €7.59. One of the most brutal roguelikes I can think of. Things are going so well and then boom, I'm dead. Noita is a physics-driven roguelike where every pixel is simulated. You're a one-wielding witch descending through collapsing caverns, crafting spells on the fly and trying not to blow yourself up with your own chaos. Everything reacts, liquids mix, fire spreads, and terrain breaks apart as you go. What makes this one so compelling is the unpredictability. The wand crafting is absurdly deep. You can build a homing, bouncing death laser, or accidentally spawn 200 unstable black holes. And when it all goes wrong, it goes really wrong. It's punishing, clever, and completely unforgiving across the board. I've never played anything quite like it. Every death is ridiculous, and I absolutely love it for that. Vampire Survivors, 25% discount, €3.74. For me, the ultimate bullet hell game. No buttons required, just smart positioning and survival instincts. Vampire Survivors is a minimal input roguelite that lets you move a sole character through waves of monstrous enemies, collecting weapons, power-ups, and passive boosts. You don't aim, your weapons fire automatically, but surviving hundreds of enemies on screen still demands constant attention and tactical prioritization. I really like this one because of the simplicity behind the chaos. There is real strategic depth in build planning, weapon combos, evolution timing, passive stacks, and of course positioning, they all matter. Runs escalate from serene survival to full-on swarm survival in minutes. No UI clutter, just clean addictive pacing. It's almost hypnotic. One more power up, one more wave, and suddenly an hour's gone. A perfect distillation of what a roguelike can be, just simple rules, emergent intensity, and entirely compelling. Balatro, 10% discount, €12.59. Poker-inspired game that turns basic hands into outrageous brain-melting combos and then dares you to go further. This deck-building roguelite is built around poker hands, but it isn't all about playing it safe. You combine traditional hands with bizarre, powerful jokers to build synergies that scale into absurdity. The goal? Earn enough chips to beat the blinds, reach the boss, and survive the final ante. This game revels in its sheer creativity, with over 150 jokers, multiple deck types, tarot, planet, and spectral cards. There's endless ways to break the game in brilliant fashion. Fast, stylish, and wildly addictive. This is one of the definitive deck building roguelikes out there, clever, chaotic, and impossible to put down. Hades, 66% discount, €8.33. I really like the sequel, but nothing has surpassed the original for me. Hades is a high octane action roguelite where you slash, dash, and outsmart the Olympian underworld. You're Zagreus, son of Hades, fighting your way out of Tartarus and back to Olympus, all while building relationships with gods, forging powerful aspects and weaving narrative into every run. What makes this game impeccable is the blend of frenetic combat with storytelling. Each escape isn't about just upgrades and loot, it's fueled by character arcs, voice work, and genuinely moving scenes. The gameplay is tight, intuitive, and almost endlessly replayable. One run morphs into the next in a heartbeat. It's the summit of the genre for me, rewarding, emotional, and mechanically near perfect. Each run matters, every moment counts, and after dozens of hours it still feels fresh. Slay the Spire, 75% discount, €5.74. Never have I played a deck building roguelike so much, and I still fall for the just one more run trap every single time. Slay the Spire is the deck building game that defined the genre. You pick a character, craft a deck on the fly, climb a branching encounter map, duke it out with bizarre creatures using precisely timed combinations of cards and relics. What really makes this game shine is the balance of depth and clarity. Unique characters, hundreds of cards and relics, and the infamous Ascension mode that lets you ratchet up the pressure with each successful run. Playthroughs always feel fresh, and players routinely clock hundreds of hours because each run is its own puzzle. It's endlessly strategic but neverly overtly complex, and with a tension that feels rewarding, not punishing, I still find myself going back, tweaking decks, chasing synergies, and losing track of time entirely.